Hello, everyone. This is an operator meeting for MARR. My name is Catherine O'Hare. It's April 12th. We still have some people logging in. Whoever's sitting outside where we hear the birds and the wind, if you could mute yourself, that would be great. Wish we could all sit outside. But today we're going to introduce Adam. I don't want to say your name wrong. Rondeau?
Rondeau, yes.
Rondeau. Adam's going to talk to everybody today about one of the medications on the MAT program. And most of you are providing the MAT program within your organization or allowing it within your homes. So Matt and another individual is going to talk about it and for a few minutes here and give you guys an opportunity to ask questions. Go ahead, Adam.
Great. Yep. All right. Thank you, Catherine. So my name is Adam Rondeau. I do policy and government affairs work for Alkermes. We focus on issues related to mental health and addiction, and particularly on the addiction side, focused on opioid use disorder and alcohol use disorder. One of the medications that our company makes is extended release injectable naltrexone, or commercially known as Vivitrol. And that's a medication that's being used for both alcohol use disorder and opioid use disorder. On the line today with us is Jordana Latosa. She's a nurse practitioner in Southeast Michigan that does mobile medical care along with providing medication-assisted treatment and a variety of addiction services. I believe she's already doing some work with some of your members, but I'm gonna actually turn it over to Jordana now to talk more about the work that she's doing.
You could right now, it'll be good. Hello, everybody. My name is Jordana Latosa. I'm a nurse practitioner and I'm with the Recovery Mobile Clinic. And actually right now I'm in one of our smaller units. This is actually an ambulance unit that drives around and gives care directly to patients where they are. And at this point in time, we're at the Live Right Transitional House that's over in Roseville. So we've been doing this program since 2020. I'm a nurse practitioner, and we were seeing in just our traditional practice that we were losing about 30% of our patients to follow up because of transportation barriers, not being able to get to the office. So I started putting our thinking caps on. My husband happens to sell RVs, and we thought about what we could do to bring the mobile model into addiction medicine, which really hasn't been very prevalent in this state, really in any states, but there are some very successful mobile MAT clinics out there. Now, our clinic focuses on Vivitrol. We prefer this because it is a non-addictive, non-opiate, non-controlled medication. And when you're working in a mobile clinic, obviously transporting controlled substances, right, kind of gets us into a whole different level of legal, levels. But we also have found that when we're going into programs such as Live Right, such as other transitional houses, we can kind of still focus on that opiate-free or addiction-free recovery, which is kind of our big push. The other thing that just offering the Vivitrol does is it really allows us to have an engaging, positive conversation with all of our patients. When you are providing buprenorphine or methadone or any of the other controlled substances, the dynamic changes. You kind of turn into almost like a accountability officer, kind of like a big brother type where you have to watch them all the time. Whereas Vivitrol can be engaging and empowering, and that's the idea. In addition to the Vivitrol injections, we also do primary medical care. We try to focus on bridging the gap between the lapse of access of care and the community. So for example, if you have patients that have a psychiatric appointment set up, but it might be 2 to 3 weeks out, and the patient's running out of their medicine, we know that that's going to potentially cause a dangerous situation, not only to that patient, but to staff and possibly to other residents in the facility as well. So we will step in and bridge and cover those medications that he's already taking until he's able to get into the psychiatrist and access that higher level of care. We also do STD screens, full service labs, and we are just now starting to provide hepatitis C curative treatment in the form of Mavrit. So that's a new service that we started offering recently to try to, again, help kind of cover these patients on a whole collaborative aspect. Any questions? I know I tried to cram a lot in a couple seconds.
No, because that one, it was really in there. It gave me flash and everything. We're just not going to get any flow. So.
Oh, Catherine, you're on mute.
I hear a lot of background noise. Is that coming from your vehicle, Jordana?
Sure, yeah.
It was, but I've muted
Oh.
myself now.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure somebody didn't have their speaker on. Does anyone have any questions for Adam or for Jordana? Any questions about the Vivitrol or are you utilizing this at your facility? Sounds like now there's a way to bring it to your residents that live there to make it easier. Sometimes, well, the Vivitrol shot's just once every 30 days, which is good. Unlike
And I will make a quick comment on, in case this is on anybody's mind, coverage. Every Medicaid beneficiary has access to Vivitrol at no cost to them. If they have commercial insurance, most of the major commercial providers are covering it, and there's looking at normally no out-of-pocket costs to the individuals. So in case that is a
I have a question. How do you get it to, I'm in Howell, Michigan. Is there a mobile unit close to me that I could contact?
The closest one that we have to Howell is actually in Highland or in Waterford at this time. We are trying to
Okay.
get out into Livingston County, but we haven't really been able to make connections, which is why I'm on this meeting today. We do want to make more connections with more sites. We have the capacity to cover Howell, but we just need to kind of get a foot in the door and set a meeting, and then maybe allow your team to do a walkthrough with either the small unit like we have here, one of our large units. We also do clinics in kind of a mobile, like, set up inside your facility model as well. So when we work with the Salvation Army, for example, we take all of our supplies in on wheelie bags and set up a temporary clinic inside their facility, just in an office space. And then we take it down and remove it every day when we leave. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in a way where they're leaving the home either, even if it is to just walk outside. So depending on how the program is, and if you like to keep kind of a tighter watch on where those patients are going, that we have the capacity of going inside the facility as well, if that works for you.
Could you put?
This is Renee Shaw from the, oh, I'm sorry,
Could
go
you
ahead,
put
honey.
your email in the, Jordana, could you put your email in the chat, please?
Absolutely. I'll also include our website so that if you have
Okay.
any other questions to look over any of our other services, feel free.
Okay, thank you.
This is Renee Shaw from the Salvation Army Harbor Light. And I will just say we've been using Jordana at all of our locations, and we have had incredible success. And success to the point that the Salvation Army, as a larger organization, asked to do a statewide contract with her. That we are so happy with the services. We are trying to get her to all of our locations, not just our substance abuse treatment location.
Thank you for the feedback. Does anybody else have any questions?
I have just a quick question. I'm just wondering if there are any parameters in terms of size, numbers. I mean, if you have a home that has maybe only one or two people, I mean, does that make a difference?
Not necessarily. We do try to, kind of coordinate our territory so that if we're in a certain area, if we have a smaller home and we have one of our vehicles in the area, we can try to cover them quickly in the same day. There's might be multiple ways to kind of handle that depending on size.
I'm assuming it'd be a little bit difficult, especially with people's work schedules and stuff like that. That must make it kind of challenging.
Well, and that's why we don't go to individual like homes per se. We go to we do group homes, we do facilities, we do transitional houses, in the idea that we're kind of in a group setting where we're catching more than one person at once. We do also have to consider size of our units. They are relatively big. So again, if it's a smaller house that has high tree coverage or a narrow driveway or not a whole lot of road access, we may want to do that mobile inside model where we're taking our, just a standard car to the facility, setting up inside, just because of logistics. But there's some things that we can always work out on a site-by-site basis.
So what about the methadone and Suboxone? Do you handle any of that? Because several of the residents are on those as well. Not everybody's on the Vivitrol.
We don't handle those medications directly. However, we can help patients facilitate finding providers that do. So our case management team is very good at helping them find whether that's a telemedicine Suboxone clinic or a local provider, and trying to set them up with those appointments so that, again, we're trying to, kind of continue that patient follow through so they don't feel like they're dropped off anywhere.
Any other questions from anybody? Feel free to speak up.
Jeff, you're on mute.
Does anybody have any questions about the hepatitis C treatment? The big thing to remember with that one too is that they don't have to be sober for 6 months anymore to receive it. So that's also another big push in this population as well.
Looks like still muted, Jeff. While we're waiting on Jeff, anybody else have any questions or comments? One of somebody put, what counties do you cover? How many counties do you cover for the state of Michigan?
Right now we're in 6. We're in Oakland County, Wayne County, Macomb, Lansing or Ingham County. Who am I missing? Monroe County. And who else am I missing?
Washtenaw, are you in Washtenaw, Rondeau?
Not yet. We were in Washtenaw when we were doing COVID testing alone, but since the COVID testing has kind of dissipated, we haven't had any follow-up partnerships there. Now, that being said, we did have a collaboration with Home of New Visions when we were in Jackson. We haven't been able to transition that over into the Washtenaw County, but we are still trying. So we reach out to them every once in a while, but Washtenaw County is within our scope of territory coverage.
Okay. So you're not in the UP or northern areas, you're more in the southeast.
Correct.
Vicinity.
For now. Now you have to remember, we're kind of a baby company still. We were just founded in 2020. Now I'm a nurse practitioner, and the big goal for this, honestly, is to develop a chapter type model where we would train and facilitate other nurse practitioners like myself to build their own territory and do exactly as we've been doing. So we are in the process of kind of putting all of the paperwork together there. So give us some time. I'm sure that we're going to continue to grow because this model is, the mobile model in general is growing. People are getting more comfortable with having services move around rather than them having to find them all the time. So as the mobile model grows, as full practice authority with nurse practitioners grows, not only in our state, but in the nation, you're going to see more nurse practitioners like myself out there doing what nurses do best, which is out in the community.
Hey, Jordana, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it sounded like you were open to expanding into other counties if there was a need. So does it make sense for individuals to reach out to you if there is interest?
Yep.
To evaluate and see if it would make sense?
Absolutely. We are always writing for grants and funding with the intent to expand. So we're actually working on a 3rd unit right now. So once we get that 3rd unit up and running, that would obviously increase our site capacity. So we're already kind of in the works of trying to get sites to fit that unit when it's running.
Are there specific days and times that your unit runs in those areas?
We run Monday through Friday, 9 through 5. Each day our site location changes, but each week it's exactly the same. So the patients know they can find us in Monroe on Mondays, in Detroit on, Wednesdays, so it's a consistent routine once it's established. The only time that changes is unfortunately if there is what we call a site failure and a site just doesn't maintain. But that happens every once in a while, but it's just schedule changes, but we try to keep it consistent.
So let's say you have somebody that they're due for their Vivitrol injection maybe in 5 days. You're not going to be in the area in 5 days. You're there today. So what happens in a situation like that? Is the person going to have to, can they get their injection early? Or do they have to find someplace else to go to get their injection for that month? Or how does that work?
Yes. Unfortunately, with Medicaid rules, how that works, we can't give it early. If you give it early, we don't get reimbursed. So what we actually will do in that case is a telemedicine call and put them on oral naltrexone and then schedule them for the next time we're there, which may mean that, if in this scenario, they were due in 3 days, so they'd be 4 days behind, but we get them covered on the oral naltrexone to bridge that gap.
Okay. Open to any questions? Any questions from anybody? Adam, do you have anything else you'd like to add or discuss?
No, I think that's it from my standpoint. I appreciate the time.
Appreciate you coming on board and sharing what you're doing. It's nice to hear that there's something like that available, because getting to the location can often be difficult for a lot of the residents that live in our homes.
I
Transportation.
guess the only final comment I would make is there's so much focus on medication-assisted treatment for opioid use disorder, and oftentimes it's not thought of in the world of alcohol use disorder. But it is, it's on par with alcohol use disorder as far as a standard of care. Whether it's with a 12-step model, whether it is with traditional counseling, whatever it may be, that combination of the behavioral plus the medication is really where things are at. It's just not been as adopted the same way, or nearly the same amount of attention paid to alcohol use disorder as there is opioid use disorder, but very much available.
I agree with you on that. That's the first time that I personally heard about it being something available for alcohol use disorder. It's always been opioids. So.
I have a quick question.
There he is.
I figured out how to unmute myself on my iPhone. So Adam, it sounds like this is a win-win proposition. There's no cost to people covered under Medicare. You'll drive to the home, the recovery residents, to do the shots. My only other question might be, would it be possible to have that service in the Upper Peninsula? And if so, would that be contact through you folks, or do you have a Wisconsin entity there?
Unfortunately, we are not in Wisconsin or in the UP yet. It does depend on, like I said, we're new. We've only been established since 2020. But we are building new units all the time. We're also writing for grants all the time. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to happen. It just hasn't happened yet.
Okay. It's in the plan.
Okay. Exactly. That is in the long-term goals.
Perfect.
My goal is to retire when I get one of these units in every lower 48. Small goal, but I'll make it.
It's a great goal. Thank you so much for taking the time to tell the members what you're offering. So I think it's a win-win.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you, Adam.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Hey, Jeff, before we lose you again, now Jeff's out of town right now. So do you have any current updates on what's going on for the operators? Anything new?
Well, in reference to the rec cap, we've been able to onboard and we're actually obtaining some data. And what I can tell you is that the people at the state level in Michigan that decide who to fund and how much to fund, they're looking forward with interest with all of the data that comes out that can show how effective recovery residences are. The only other thing I might mention with that is it's helpful to the recovery residence operators as well. Once they start getting the rec cap data, the scores, the recovery capital scores, you're able to perhaps fine tune those things that are in your program that works really well, and perhaps modify those that might need some adjustment. So we're really looking forward to that. And we're going to present the results of that at the October MARR Best Practices Annual Conference in Dearborn, Michigan, October 9th, 10th, and 11th. So if anybody has any questions about how to get onboarded or how to become a part of that program, please contact me, Catherine, or Kelly Darren, who Kelly is the rec cap specialist and the person that does all the heavy lifting here at MARR with rec cap.
Yeah, I want to mention at the last meeting, I gave the wrong dates for the conference this year. I apologize for that. It is October 9th, 10th, and 11th. It's the second week in October. We're really excited about it. We have several meetings going on with the National Alliance every week to get things prepared and stuff. So I appreciate those that have reached out already, that are willing to help with volunteering your time to help during the conference. If there's anyone else that's interested right now, we're just taking names and information. And when they're ready to reach out to you, they will. So if anybody else is interested in volunteering your time for the conference, again, the 9th, 10th, and 11th of October, please feel free to put your information in the chat. That would be great. And since we're on RecCap, Kelly, you have any updates on RecCap?
I do. Things are actually going well. We're getting many operators that are working very diligently, like Jeff said, to get some information in so that we can hear how things are going in Michigan in October. We've worked, Christy, thank you so much. I mean, there's so many folks that I see that are familiar here that have been working the process, and just knowing Ann as well. Just a couple of shout outs, people I see a lot of Erin, familiar faces, familiar names. We're all working together to get the rec cap going. Something that I would like to request specifically is my main first contact for operators is that I reach out to the individual that we have listed in our system and give them information regarding rec cap, as well as give them a link to set up a time for us to get together over Zoom to review the application, show you what it looks like, give you some information so you're not going in blind or without any kind of information, and really work together hand holding through the process to make it as quick, easy, and painless as possible. And so I would just ask that if you do receive an email from me, or perhaps Wally at times helps me as well with phone calls, if you could please fit it into your schedule to get back with us. It's very important that we're staying on track with keeping people in the system and keeping everyone active in ongoing process of getting everyone onboarding. Just today, I've had like 4 Zooms with operators today, and I've just heard some really great feedback. And I'm hoping to have some folks together for our next meeting to kind of give you guys an idea of what that experience has been like for the operators, so that you can have kind of firsthand knowledge of what it was like, what it felt like, did they feel supported, all of their own personal experience throughout the system, so that you can be a little bit more well-versed in what we're trying to do. So in short, we're doing good. We're doing the thing. We're keeping on moving forward, hearing lots of good things from operators. I just had an email today. Oh my gosh, I love this admission tab that, you know, you gave that helps us fill out all the information before an intake. So it's really, operators are starting to realize as we get into the system that it's so incredibly helpful. It really truly is in centralizing your information, in streamlining your intake processes, and just being able to complete systems that are repeatable for everybody within your organization, for intakes and things of that nature. It's really been very helpful. So if I could just have one ask, if I reach out, shoot you an email or give you a phone call, if you could please get back with me, it would be greatly appreciated. And we can get in together with the process of getting you onboarded into the system.
Kelly, would you remind everybody again, it's once they do the onboarding system, it's they meet with the individual, it's at intake, and then is it 45 days, 90 days, 6 months, right? It's just, it's not every single day you're meeting with that individual or every single week. It's, you know, when they first come in, and it's, you know, see how they're doing at 45 days, 90 days, correct?
Correct.
So it's not as overwhelming as what people think.
Definitely not. And I can't express enough the excitement that I've heard, especially within the last couple of weeks, of individuals that just are very happy with some of the things that the system makes possible for them, that makes things easier. So yes, you're correct. You're sitting down with an individual for the first time when they're intake within 72 hours of intake, and completing that first evaluation with them. After that, each individual has access to, they have their own client portal. So they have access to their own plan, they have access to their evaluation, they have access to all the events that are going on in the home, and all of the good things like that. So at the 30-day mark, or I'm sorry, at the 45-day mark, they are logging into their own portal. And they're saying, have I done this? Have I done this? Have I done this? What you're doing is monitoring that they're logging in and making sure that's completed. So you don't necessarily need to sit down with them for those additional evaluations. You're more monitoring what's happening, where we're at, if anyone's missing an evaluation that needs to be updated, those types of things. Like Catherine mentioned, it's really not as daunting as it can sound in the beginning. And one of the main things that I've tried to focus on is doing it instead of looking at the big picture and saying, we have to get everybody into, you know, we have to do all of this and get everyone into the system. We're just going to take it one step at a time. We're going to, you know, we're going to have a weekly goal, and we're going to meet weekly, and you're going to be supported not only by myself, but also Get Help, who is a software administrator for the programming, as well as individuals from ROI, which is Recovery Outcomes Institute. That was with Dr. David Best. And those are the folks that are going to be providing the outcomes for us. They own the intellectual property. So they're the ones that are going to give us those reports that we're going to be able to hand over to the state and say, these are the good things that we're doing across Michigan. And this is supporting what we know we've been doing so far. So yeah, for sure.
This is another good reason why having individual tablets available for the residents in the home is going to be very useful and helpful, so that they can have access and to add their own data as well, correct? So I received from Ann. Ann is the first one I actually received reimbursement form from. So anybody else, Kelly gives anybody else the voucher for reimbursement. Again, as a reminder, MARR will reimburse up to $300 per tablet per home, one tablet per home. If you choose to have a tablet at each location. So once you get to, I believe it's the second phase, Kelly?
Correct, in training. So there's 3 steps in the training, and there's 3 courses in training. So once we get up to folks starting on that second step or that second training, then we turn the voucher over to you so that you're able to purchase those before you're ready to go live with the system. So you have them available when you're ready to go. and like Crystal mentioned too, a Mother's Touch, who was one of our very first and worked very hard to get her individuals into the system, received her reimbursement as well. We've also had just a ton of staff going through training. I think there's probably close to 15 staff members going through training, and you don't have to worry about you training your staff either. That's my job. That's our job. We're going to make that happen for you. It's not going to be an added thing that you have to think about doing on top of learning the system. You just need to know that that's something that I'm going to take on, and your staff will be supported through that process as well. I also check up on progress, shoot out an email if someone's hasn't had any progress in a while, to make sure they're doing okay, make sure there's nothing wrong in the system, make sure there's nothing wrong in the training system, to keep everyone not frustrated. I mean, I think that's the key. We all have a lot to do, and adding something cannot always be easy, but it's definitely beneficial. It's definitely worth it. It's definitely already showing some great results. We're getting some data and getting some great feedback from operators. So it's a very positive thing that the state has allowed us to do. And I think that it's very fortunate that they were able to ask us to do this, because it's a very cool program, I guess is my best way to say it.
It's exciting to be a part of something bigger than ourselves, Yeah, all
Sure.
that data is going to help nationwide, not just Michigan.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Does anyone have any questions or comments for Kelly regarding the RECAP program? Please feel free to just reach out, speak up.
So to kind of summarize, the actual time spent by the peer navigator in getting an assessment is probably an hour or an hour and a half max. You do that with each person that comes into the program, and then thereafter it's only 45 days, and after that it's every 90 days.
Correct.
So once you get the program up and running, it really is not that difficult in terms of additional staff time. And this is just one testimonial I'd heard from some other folks that just started off. They said, this is wonderful. It's actually saving them time.
Yes.
Because it's an evidence-based focus on here are the right factors to collect and review, and it's incredibly helpful, I'm told, in helping construct a recovery plan or a wellness recovery plan.
For sure. And something to kind of be aware of too is, as Jeff mentions, building the plan, all of the goals within the system, you customize yourself for, we have some global goals in the system, but you're going to check those out and make sure that they're going to work for your program. There's resources attached to those goals. You're going to make sure that those work for your program. So it's really a great program, and it offers so much benefit, not even just in the evaluation and the outcomes, but client management. I mean, you're putting UA screen results in there, you're putting their medications in there, you're putting your bed board in there, so you know where everyone is. If you have more than one program, you can be in any other program that you have and know where everybody else is within, your organization. So there's just multiple benefits to being part of the system.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you, Kelly, for all your help. So thank you for reaching out. Kayla, do you have any updates that you'd like to share?
Not too many updates, but I did want to mention again, just in case you weren't on the last two meetings or forgot, we did start a Facebook group forum for all of our operators to be able to connect and reach out and post about your programs, share advice, that kind of thing. I'm going to put the link in the chat right now for you to join. We would love to have more people join it and just get involved with staying in contact with each other. We have about 23 people on the forum right now, which is awesome. So it's increasing month by month, but we'd definitely love to have more. And the other thing is definitely the MARR training modules. We are coming down to the wire. Your trainings are due June 1st. And so it's officially less than 2 months away. And we have about 30 people that are in the process and only 9 people that have completed the trainings in general for their program. So really get on that. I want to remind you all that if we do not receive your certificate for completing these trainings by June 1st, your program will be marked as pending, which means you will not be certified as far as MARR is concerned until those trainings are completed. So if anyone has any questions or needs to get the document to log into those trainings or anything like that, then just feel free to reach out or comment in the chat.
I have a question, Kayla. Does everybody have to complete that training, or is it as long as we have maybe 1 or 2 staff complete it?
Yeah, 1 or 2 staff is completely fine. We need at least 1 person per program to complete the training.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Preferably the individual that has the day-to-day contact with the individuals in the home.
Yeah.
You know, that's great. And there's a lot of turnover, like all companies. So as a reminder too, if you have somebody, you had one individual that actually took the course for your organization and they're no longer with you, then it's up to you. Assign somebody else to take that course. So you have somebody within your organization that has that knowledge. Ideally, we would love everybody to do it and have that knowledge. It's free and educational. So it's really important that everybody has this completed. So we have any new operators, Kayla? Last month?
Let me see. We do have Carl with Second Chance 2000. I don't know if he's on the call with us today. But then we definitely have a few that are in the process of becoming certified. So I'm not sure. Is there anyone new on this call today that maybe wants to introduce themselves?
Yes, I'm new. This is my first meeting ever, so.
Where are you from, Jessica? Organization.
Sacred Heart Serenity Hills in Berrien Center.
Okay, so you're new to Sacred Heart then?
No, I'm just new to this role.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I've been with Sacred Heart for 2 years.
Gotcha. Are there any new programs on the call? Like any new people from any new programs?
I'm actually Tricia Johnson. I'm with Jessica.
Oh, okay.
We operate one recovery home in Southwest Michigan.
Oh, nice. Which program?
It's called Butternut Home.
Oh, okay.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I wanted to remind everybody as well, if you can't be on the call, well, I actually did a site review one day last week, and I was reminding the operator, well, hey, if you can't be on the operator meeting every month, go to the YouTube channel and you can watch the meeting. And he had no idea that we did that. So I just want to remind everybody that we do have, go to the MARR site and you go to click on news, then click on YouTube. You can see all the the recorded operator meetings that we've been having. And if you can't attend a meeting for whatever reason, we do want you to look at it on YouTube so you get the information. A lot of times we cover a lot of valuable things that could be helpful to you in the program. So, and then you can do that at any time, whatever's convenient for you. So, all right, Wally.
Thanks, Catherine. You know, the only thing I really have is meetings are going on every week in regard to the conference coming up in October. And there are a number of us, I think most of us are on the program committee and the sponsorship committee. It was a sponsorship committee meeting earlier today. And somebody came up with a really good idea about something that they had done at a previous conference that I thought I would share here. And it has to do specifically with the needs of providers in their homes and the kind of, you know, some of the things they were talking about was if you've had good experiences with things like pest control, for example, for smoke detectors, for alarm systems, for even things like mattress sellers and small appliance repair and stuff like that. And they can be local, they can be state, they can be regional, or even national. I'll put my email address in the chat, and if you could just email me the name and a phone number and an email address for somebody that you've had a good experience with that you'd like to share with other providers, I think that'd be great. And maybe they'd be interested in having a table or a small booth set up or something at the conference. That's it.
Hey, I see there's a question. Somebody was wondering if all the MARR certified homes have been notified of the required trainings, and that answer is yes. How often do you send out reminders to all the operators about this?
About the MARR trainings?
Yes, they've been getting reminders since what, April last year?
Yeah. After every single monthly meeting, I send an email reminder as well. So at least once a month, everyone's being reminded. If anyone needs, there's a couple of people that reached out to me already, but again, if anyone needs the login document with the code and everything you need to access those trainings, just put your name in the chat. I will start sending out more frequent reminders, maybe like week by week, once it actually comes down to it actually getting close to June 1st, because we are, like I said, just under 2 months away from that. So.
And again, the start date to the 12 months start from the date of application for those that haven't been more recently application. So if you only applied 2 months ago, you have another 10 months to complete. In terms of how many staff members need to have it done, the requirement is 1 per organization. Having said that, it makes sense that for anybody that's on staff, I think, to go through the training because it's incredibly helpful. But the minimum requirement is at least 1 person on staff goes through and completes the training.
Any questions?
I have a kept list too of those new operators that have a longer period of time to complete the trainings. I have everyone's due dates marked. So
I just had one question. I did complete the MARR and NAR trainings. However, my NAR certificate is not showing up, only my MARR one.
Okay.
Steve, what organization are you with?
Flint Odyssey House.
Honestly, yeah, I have that marked as complete. I'm able to see if you've completed in the system too, even if you don't send us your certificate. So I do know that you have completed it. If you do want your certificate, I can look into that for you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's important to get that certificate for your organization as well. And I would want, I wanted my certificate. I was one of the first ones to complete it, and I was on them. Where's my certificate? So yeah, I want to be able to show I have proof that I did it. Any questions about the training? Please don't procrastinate. We talked about that last month as well. It's very easy to put it on the back burner because you got a little while longer. But if you can try to do a few a week at least, to make sure that you get these completed, that would be great. So
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm Rachel Pryor out of Addiction Treatment Services in Traverse City. I'm doing this Zoom through my phone. It says I'm in safe driving mode, so I'm not sure if you guys can see me. I'm not driving.
I see you have an iPhone.
Yes, I do. Can you see me? Just out of curiosity?
No.
Okay. Yes, I am here, and I'm also, because I'm on safe driving mode, I can't see anything in the messages or anything like that. I've been trying to figure it out. So at any rate, I have recently moved into the recovery home manager position, and the person before me was receiving the emails. I just want to make sure that my email address is added to receive these notifications and reminders and such.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Since you can't access the chat, do you want to just give it to me real
Right.
quick or?
Yeah. Thanks. It is Rachel P, and Rachel is spelled Rachael.
Okay.
P as in prior.
Okay.
At addictiontreatmentservices.org.
Perfect. I will get that out to you and I'll add you to the email list.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
That's another reminder too for the other operators. If you get somebody new in a different position, please make sure that you share that email with Kayla. So we can include them in on the operator meetings and she could make sure they have the information they need to complete the training. So
Also, I use the primary contact information when reaching out for RECCAP to begin onboarding. So if just make sure that I could get that as well, that would be wonderful.
you guys can actually put it in the chat as well. If you have somebody new, just put your organization and put the email and name of the person that will be the contact for us moving forward. We have any questions about anything that we've talked about so far? Right. I did want to talk about because we're starting the recovery residence operator of the month. And this month it is the Comfort Homes in Grand Rapids. So I want to congratulate Ron and Lori on doing such a great job with their homes. They've been a certified operator since 2015, I believe, and been with us a long time. And I'm the one that every single year I do their walkthrough and certify them. So this year I was so impressed with how far along they've come. There was only 2 like little minor things that needed to be corrected, and the homes are cleaned and maintained. They got a great system in place. I was really impressed with their program. So congratulations to the Comfort Homes this month. Keep up the good work. And as a reminder too, for everybody, the home should look like that all the time, clean and well maintained, and should be oversight to make sure chores are getting done. The residents, somebody should be talking with those residents every day. How you doing? How's the job search going? Getting to your meetings. That daily contact is going to really help you a lot to know, like, okay, so-and-so didn't do their chore for the last 2 days. That's not like him. You know, maybe he's a little bit more isolating, you know, so those are little red flags, you know, and then you know you need to approach that person because something's off, right? So just having that day-to-day contact, you get to know your residents very well. And most of the homes have been looking great. So thank you everybody for what you do and for keeping great homes for our residents. So Jeff, did you have anything you wanted to add?
So the Mother's Touch asked me where is their certificate?
What certificate?
No, I really don't have anything else to add today other than to suggest that if anybody has an idea of the subject matter that they'd like to discuss or something that they found useful, if they can let Catherine or I know, be happy to try to schedule a time to discuss that during the next month's meeting. So if you have a topic or subject that comes up, maybe somebody says, well, I've got a trans man that wants to go into the men's home and how do I deal with that? We can put you in contact with some of the recovery residence operators that have successfully had that issue come up and resolved it. So, but that's just an example. So if anybody has anything they'd like us to try to focus on, or you've got a question or a burning issue, please let us know and we'll add that to our monthly call.
Kayla, were there any other topics, new topics that people wanted to talk about this time?
Not as far as I can tell. There was one that said sobriety coping strategies. Maybe talking about recovery housing challenges. But that it looks like that's basically it since the last meeting.
Has anybody had any challenges or anything come up in your program that you want to share that see if other operators have an idea of how to handle the situation or what they've done in the past? Feel free to speak up. I remember the last topic we had last month, they were talking about budget, ways to save money. And just as a reminder, since we had somebody on regarding the Vivitrol, I wanted to remind people that the drug tests can be expensive. But if you buy in bulk, you buy a certain number, usually it's a little less expensive. So it was suggested that maybe if you work with another operator, you can buy in larger bulk and both of you can save more money that way. Or work with a treatment facility and stuff and go in on what they're purchasing for their drug tests, and then again get a bigger discount. So that's just another way to help you save some money.
I did get a comment that asked, I would like to know how to acquire another location.
Well, having another location is great. We want people to grow, but remember there's other ways to do it besides purchasing the home. So you can also lease a home. And in my mind, because my late husband and I leased our homes, in my mind, that makes more sense in a way, because when the roof leaks or the furnace breaks down or other things go wrong with the home, the landlord has to fix that. All you have to pay is the lease and the utilities and that's it. But to own a home, you're not always 100% occupied, right? So that little money you got coming in, when you own a home, a lot of times it goes right back out the door because you've got all these house repairs to make. So I'd work with individuals that are leasing homes. A lot of times, once you get a connection with with somebody who leases homes, and they see that, oh, they're going to get their rent every single month. We know they take care of the home. They're going to be more than likely wanting you to rent other homes from them as well. So having a good connection is a great thing. And it can be difficult, especially when you're going to a new area. Landlords don't know who you are. They don't understand what a recovery residence is. And reach out to other operators as well. Anyone have any other suggestions on how they can expand or open up another home?
I have one. Crystal, you might consider, because it's a whole business decision, right? You have to decide whether you're going to buy or rent, where the location is it proper under zoning? What's the availability of staff? What's the likelihood of having people there? So those issues are going to take more than 10 minutes. And we have addressed many of those issues in the MARR portion of the training, of the MARR training. If you look at just the Michigan state specific, there are separate modules broken out into like the business planning portion of how to operate a recovery residence. So I suggest you look at that. The one with Ron Bechtel is probably the best module in there that in terms of talking about the business operations. And it goes through, here's what your cash needs are, here's what your cash flow is going to look like. And it addresses it just from a business operations point of view as opposed to a recovery residence point of view. So I'd encourage you to do that, Crystal.
And location is really important where your location is. So, they keep saying, well, we need a lot of homes in rural locations, but at the same time, how are they going to get to meetings? are they going to do job search? You know, so you have to find something within reasonable walking distance or ideally on a bus route where they can be more independent and they can find work and they can get to their meetings and be as independent as possible. And when you're looking for a home, make sure the bedrooms are at least 100 square feet. You know, so because ideally you don't want to have single rooms. Maybe if you have a house manager and they've got a lot of time under their belt or so, I can see that it can be nice to have them have their own room sometimes. But you want to make sure that the home is going to meet the needs of the population you serve. So, you know, have 2 to a room, you know, 1 full bath for every 6 individuals that live there, that kind of stuff. So.
One additional thing you might do in terms of keeping a constant outlook and a eye on what might be available out there is if you've got a acquaintance or a friend that's in the real estate business, they could bird dog for you. Here's a home that's coming up that is next to the bus station and is right across the street from the biggest job employer and is right down the street from an AA meeting, et cetera, et cetera. And so you can get, here's what's on the market, information from somebody that's experienced and knowledgeable about what the local market is.
All right. Any other questions or comments? We're going to end it early then, looks like. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Appreciate it. Hopefully, our next meeting in May, everybody will have completed the trainings before June. And got some beautiful weather out there. I hope you guys are enjoying your spring weather. And please feel free to reach out anytime. You guys all have my email and stuff. And I'll call you back as soon as I can. If you have any questions or concerns about anything, I'll be happy to talk to you. So take care, everybody.
Thanks, everybody, for taking time out of their life to help. So see you next month.
Yeah.